Good morning, class. The purpose of this video is a certification requirement by the American Culinary Federation to get the Certified Culinary Educator accreditation. I'll do 10 different knife cuts for you this morning, and then later on we're going to prepare a couple of recipes that come from Latin America. First of all, I'm going to demonstrate with a carrot the julienne. The julienne is used for a lot of different things in recipes, and particularly carrots. So they really provide a nice color. What we want to do first is square off our carrot so that it's very easy to work with, so that it doesn't move on the cutting board. So you have to really get on top and look down and try to keep your knife as stable as possible. And you make these planks to just make sure that the length is about right. That's about 2 inches right there, so that they're all uniform. There, okay. But I can use 2 layers maybe at a time. That's about it. Because we're talking about perfection here. And it really is a hallmark of the chef's skills. So they're supposed to be, 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch square, and they are supposed to be about 2 inches long. The bâtonnet is the next larger size. So if this is 1/8 of an inch, what would the next size up be? 1/4 of an inch, that's right. So what you can do is prepare nice little tiny cuts called brunoise. Brunoise is 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch square. And these make beautiful little garnishes. So anyway, with this particular dimension, we then also come up with squares, 1/4 inch squares. So this is a skill that you need to know always, and you need to practice. And what we're going to do is make little small dice, which again is 1/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch. We're going to be doing medium dice, which is the next size up from 1/4 inch, which would be 1/2 inch, right? Just get a piece that is workable, try to square it off. But this particular 1/2 inch size lends itself to the paysanne cut, which has the same dimensions except for one, and that is that it's 1/8 of an inch in thickness versus this being 1/2 of an inch in thickness. So technically you should be able to get 4 paysanne out of one medium dice. This time I'm going to do some paysanne. All right, so we have our little square batons here, and to do the parmentier, it's going to be just 1/8 of an inch wide. So these are tiny, tiny, tiny. But like anything else, the practice brings the speed. And we're going to do some tournée. So same concept. We want to try to square off our piece that we're working with. There. Okay, so that's about 3/4 of an inch right there. Potatoes oxidize real easily. They turn pink and they don't look very good aesthetically. So we may be able to get some more large dice here out of these. Some fine julienne. So that's 1/16 of an inch. And these are 2 inches long, and they are nice for garnish too. So I'll just cut it right here. And right here. So 10 cuts I've done today, classic cuts. There are many, many cuts. Next thing we're going to do is move on to do a sweet potato cake, and with an accompaniment with that we're going to have dulce de leche sauce. And all that I'll be going over to the stove right now. Okay, so let's go over there together. To do the dulce de leche, all you need to do is take 1 quart of milk, 9 ounces of granulated sugar. Okay, and we do have just a little, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And we're going to put that on the burner, and we're going to bring it to a boil. And then now that it's boiling, we're going to turn it down to a simmer. Okay, and we're going to let that cook for 2 hours. Now, I have the finished product here. After 2 hours, you can see how much it has reduced. So you can see the nice brown color. At this stage, we're going to make some additions. So we're going to add this 1/2 cup of rum. We're going to add cream. Okay, this is 16 fluid ounces of cream. You can really smell that rum. And then we're going to bring it again to a boil and let it thicken a little bit. And we're going to use this as our sauce to use over the cake. And it's used throughout South America, which is, our class is Latin cuisine, and we're studying Mexico right now. Dulce de leche is used a lot in Mexico. Okay, so we're just going to let that simmer while we finish doing the cake. Okay, so now we can sit down over here. Sweet potatoes, actually, when they're cooked, they are very easy to mash. And we're going to just cut them up into smaller pieces because they'll cook faster that way. Make sure that we've got 2 pounds here. And so what we will do is start them in cold water so that the starch molecules can slowly absorb the water. We have cooked those potatoes because I have gone ahead and done that ahead of time. So you want to drain the potatoes. You take them out of the hot water and put them in a colander and let them sit a little while to drain them as much as possible. We have 2 tablespoons of butter, and then we have 3/4 of a cup of sugar, brown sugar. Okay, so I'm going to let that sugar kind of absorb the moisture. And in the meantime, I'm going to get our eggs ready. And then we need to add also some lime that's grated. Okay, so this recipe calls for nutmeg. We have 1/2 of a teaspoon. And we will put it in one of our bowls. And so here we have cinnamon. We're going to use equal amount of cinnamon. 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 a teaspoon of salt, and we need some lime juice, 1 tablespoon, 1/4 of a cup of the dark rum. We're going to add our milk. We're going to add the lime juice. We're going to add the rind. Okay, so now we have all the ingredients in here except for the eggs. So what we're going to do is just simply add one at a time. So now what we want to do is get this batter into a greased loaf pan, 9 by 5. Okay, so we're going to bake this at 350 for at least an hour. Okay, we're going to just place it right there in the center oven. We're going to take our cake that we have taken out of the oven, and we let it rest for about 10 minutes. We're going to just take a slice have a finishing touch. So we're going to just drizzle it over the side. It's going to add a little mint to each plate. This is the sweet potato cake with dulce de leche sauce.